So there's an opportunity there to shift your thinking about what appears to be an insurmountable problem, right? You think, well, how would I ever solve that? That just seems big and hairy, right?
Yeah.
Yep. And I have had some big insurmountable problems that I couldn't even think about because I thought there's no way I can ever influence my dog in any way because that's so big and hairy. And I'm going to share this one story that is making me rethink everything. So that may seem insurmountable, but if you think about your dogs, and this has helped me a lot, that listening to all the Warwick Schiller stuff, think about your dogs like they're horses. Like you can't make them do anything. And if they were to get overly aroused, they might hurt you. So it's like people with horses sign up for classes and pay trainers and do clinics because they have something at stake, and that is their well-being. Whereas with us dogs, the dog pulls on a leash, people get, a no-pull halter, or, we can jerk our dogs around. We can deal with them barking in the pen, but they're not going to run themselves into a fence or, get injured or, hurt us. So there's less motivation. We have to find the inner motivation to deal with some of these problems because we don't have an external motivation. So if you were to think about, and the reason I'm saying deal with this in your training field versus in your house is the problem isn't really the problem you think, and you won't know what the real problem is until you have investigated it from all different angles. And I'm going to now jump to give you this example of the craziest thing that came from me thinking about Dakota like a horse. That he has always been hysterical about his feet and his rear end and his tail being touched, and we made great progress through classical desensitization, procedures. And now, I do the whole toenail ritual, which is, I put out the setup and he's willing to lie down, and I put the clippers there and he's willing to put his foot, on the clipper, and then he's willing to let me hold it. So there's all this stuff. And I've gone, okay, we are at this point where it's difficult, but we do it. It takes about a half hour to do the front feet. Sometimes we get 3 nails done. Sometimes we get them all done, whatever. So that's me thinking I've got, this is as good as I'm going to get it, which is a sign that you're not really dealing with the cause. If you stop making progress, chances are you're band-aiding an effect. And this is the insight I had. So, Dakota's needed to have physical exams on his stifles, and he's had to be sedated. And I just accepted that because I've got an insurmountable problem. I have a dog that's always been hysterical, or so I recall. It's possible it's not always been. And so I just accept the fact that he has to be sedated. And the last time he was at a vet, the vet informed me that even while sedated, he put up a huge fight. And I thought, wow, I was envisioning sedation, like that the dog couldn't be putting up a big fight. So then it made me reflect back on the exam before, why Dakota came out of that exam with the good leg lame-ish. And I'm like, because he was fighting. He was like a tripod. All the legs went out when they were trying to flip him on his side. So I was envisioning my dog unconscious. In fact, they're only lightly sedated, supposedly. So anyway, so now I'm thinking, okay, if he needs surgery, I'm going to need to do passive range of motion with his rear legs as part of, the recovery in the first few days in particular. I'm like thinking insurmountable. He'll never let me do this. How am I going to do this? I'm trying to think out of the box going, well, what if I have him in a sling and I just kind of ease him into a sit and a stand? I'm getting the range and blah, blah, blah. And then I thought, okay, I'm a freaking dog trainer. I can find a way to do this. So I go to the paid subscription for Warwick Schiller. I find some videos on an anxious horse that has issues with banners. So it's not really related. And I get the principle. And the principle is to allow the animal to cooperate versus trying to get the animal to do something. So, instead of giving the animal like a treat, it's more like here's what I ended up doing. I hit him I asked him for a down, and I pushed my hand against, this is his shoulder, pretty, firmly. And then I released pressure. So can you see I'm releasing pressure a little bit? I didn't remove my hand. I released pressure. I said, good dog, gave him a piece of kibble, pushed firmly, released the pressure slightly. gave him kibbles. And then I started pushing and waiting just a moment before releasing subtle pressure to see if he's now going to release the pressure. And yes, he did. He went, oh, this experience, this feeling is what is, I'm getting the good dog followed by the kibble. So he starts releasing pressure, which basically is a relaxation, the subtle relaxation away from the pressure of my hand. So here we are, 3 to 5 reps in. He's now understanding that the good dog comes when he releases pressure. So as I keep working this, in the first session, he completely flops over on his side. That's how quickly it went. And so I'm still oblivious. I'm still going, okay, this is the first step. And now I got to work on his real problem with this, which is his feet. That's what he hates. So thank goodness I got through this little thing first. So then I go to the feet. There's no problem with the feet. The problem was with the resistance to any kind of force, and not that it's forceful. So then I'm videotaping, really important to videotape this stuff. And I'm videotaping thinking I want to share it with the vet in case the vet's willing to do this versus to manhandle my dog. And then I start noticing how I'm giving the food rewards in such a way that's bending the neck. And I'm thinking, oh, that makes sense. That, you know, by asking for a turn of the neck, that's more relaxed than tension here, right? The frontal dog. So that's eliciting relaxation with the nerve endings, you know, close to the brain. Like that's the source of everything, right? There's all these, you know, nerves that go up and down from the body. So which began to lead to this insight about, I've been dealing with the end of the neural network, the feet, the expression of tension and anxiety. So by shifting my focus by pure luck closer to the brain, to the bigger, you know, to the source of all of those nerve fibers, that getting relaxation here, I get relaxation all the way down. So for any dog at this point, what I would be doing for any kind of tension, I would be starting close to the brain, close to the beginning of where those neurotransmitters start, and you know, asking for slight relaxation. So not only did the head turning create a more relaxed state, you know, that, like they say, people, like if you have a slight, women will especially cock their head a little bit when they're talking, and it's perceived as more friendly than straight on, which is kind of a funny thing. But so it's a more relaxed pose. It's less aggressive. So a dog gently turning the head is more relaxed. And then what that initiated, which is what I was trying to do with the curved head, was to get the spine curve, which is going to make the dog roll onto his side. But I was thinking all like, this is physical stuff I want to have happen. But what was really happening was these physical actions were creating a mental and emotional shift by the basis of the physical action. Just like if you just go, oh my God, I'm so tense, and you drop your shoulders, you actually feel more relaxed, because it's a feedback loop, right? So your body is tense, your brain is tense, but if you can relax your shoulders, and you feel a little bit more relaxed. So I was doing that with Dakota. But it was this example, once I realized it, that, you know, once I've got him on the side, I'm just trying to build duration for relaxation on the side. And so along with working with the back legs in full range of motion, no problems at all, shocking to me, I started just working with the front legs, which are the terrible toenail feet. And I start just going for shoulder relaxation. I'm just manipulating the shoulder. And then I go for, you know, I guess the wrist, or the elbow and the wrist. And then before I know it, I've got floppy front feet, even with the really touchy right front foot. And I'm going, you know, wow, this is all good stuff for him. And I'm still not making any connection to toenails or whatever. So I'm doing this now for a week, twice a day. I start trying to move him away from kibble, because if he's going to have to be sedated, he can't have kibble at the vet. And if I want the vet to try it, he's got to be able to do it without kibble, blah, blah, blah. So I continue to have to start at the beginning over and over. We're not making progress. Like each session is starting again, which is this other thing I've posted about via Warwick Schiller, is we can feel like starting over and over and over is no progress, but that actually is the progress. the starting wherever your animal is, starting at that point over and over is progress. And so that was a little side note. So here's the craziness of the problem isn't the problem. A couple of days ago, I was trimming Lil's toenails, and I always do her toenails first. I wasn't planning on doing Dakota's. She's on the bed with the towel, and I have a whole setup. They know what it is. So instead of Dakota nervously trotting around and watching and, oh my God, Lil's getting her toenails done, that's the way he is. He's sitting there like the Buddha, and he's calm and he's upright. He's like, we are talking perky, calm sit, watching me do Lil's toenails. And so I'm like, wasn't planning on doing his toenails, but now I've got to try and see what is this about. So I bring him up there, and he lets me clip the first nail. And as soon as the clip sound happens and the pressure, he jumps a little bit. But then he comes right back, puts his foot down, and I do another one. He jumps a little bit. By the third nail, there's no jumpiness, and I just did all the front feet. Just boom, 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 boom. So all of that stuff that evolved from another problem I was trying to solve helped him with the toenail thing. So all these years I've been focusing on the toes. He's got issues about his toes. That wasn't the issue. That was the expression of the issue. The issue was the relaxation in the head that I helped release by, the neck posture, by giving him the choice to cooperate, by this, that, him understanding he can release the pressure against my hand against his shoulder. And if he doesn't, it doesn't matter. I release the pressure myself, and I try again and try again. And each of these sessions was starting at the beginning, wherever he was. Sometimes I couldn't get him on the hard side. Sometimes he went easy on the hard side. Sometimes I just went into rolling, coming back. Other times duration and leg manipulation. It was just pure starting over. So with any of these insurmountable problems you feel you have, and Celeste, I can think of some of yours with the door, the walking, the insanity that happens with your normally calm dog, or he's also a big barker in your car at class, those kind of things. If you want to learn about your dog and understanding that the perceived problem may not be the problem, and it probably isn't, because if it were the problem, you would have solved it, right? If that were the problem, you would have solved it. So the experimentation of finding the true source of the problem it could transform everything you do, right? And the way if you're dealing with the problem or an expression is, if everything you're doing is making no or little effect, or you've reached a plateau and nothing's helping, know that you're not dealing with the source, you're dealing with the expression.
Okay, this is just a demo of what we've been working on to make it easier. Yeah, to make it easier to do an exam. Good boy. Good boy. Good. Okay, down. Good job. So I'm pressing on his shoulder. Any release of pressure, I remove it. We're going to take him on the side he's offering. This is his easier side. Pressing on the shoulder, releasing, pressing on he's wondering who I'm talking to. Good boy. Good, and good. I've been doing this with food, so since there won't be any food at the vet, in case he has to be sedated, which is likely, I'm going to push a little bit harder. He's resisting. Release, good boy. So I'm pushing kind of hard. I'm releasing, good boy. Pushing, good boy. Pushing, good. So I'm releasing when he's turning his head slightly in the direction, good boy, that actually releases that pressure on that shoulder just by the nature of the turn. So I'm going to move myself over here, thinking that will help. Hello, good. That was actually a slight roll. Good boy. Good boy. Nice. So he's yielding a little bit, but I'm doing the pushing versus him offering. Good jobby. I know it's weird that I'm talking, right? You're a good boy. Maybe I'll stop talking. Good. Good job. Super. Good boy. Super. And this might be enough to be able to do the range of motion. The fact that he's shifted his hips over, but I'm going to see if I can't get him to lie down. Good. So he's yielding a little bit to this pressure. Good boy. I'm not pushing him though. I'm trying to release as soon as he offers a little bit, good boy, of relaxation. Super. And I'm just going to go ahead and do this leg through the range of motion. I don't know if it's possible to do an exam with him just rolled on the hip, but he doesn't seem to have a problem with that. Seems to be more about being pushed on his side, and that might have to do with some manhandling that needed to happen because he wouldn't roll over. So I found with him, trying to make him do it creates tension and more resistance versus allowing him to cooperate. But I don't know if you're going to have time to do this. Good boy. So I'm pushing. Good job. There we go. Good boy. Very nice. So I wouldn't call this relaxed, but I'd call it cooperative. Super job. And I've been working with just relaxed front legs. That these are his more touchy feet when I do toenails. And he's actually improved a lot with the toenails just by doing this process. So here I am doing the range of motion with the top leg. Good jobby. Okay, you done with that side? Should we try the other side?